Okay guys, anyone who's clicked back onto here, I'm going to first of all apologise that I was supposed to obviously finish the page that I was doing. That whole idea I don't think worked out very well. And I've been doing pages so fast and I've got a combination of eye problems at the moment, so I've not been able to draw as much as I actually wanted to. I've been trying to work out how to do pages instead of trying to focus on videos and the such. So instead, I'm going to do this instead. I'm pretty much going to do different characters, different scenes, and show you the process of the characters, maybe a little bit of like explanation. I'm going to start it off with this is probably one of my better known characters, one of my main characters, Enoch here. So first of all, I'm just going to go and explain a bit about like how to create a character. I'm assuming anyone who is drawing anyway knows how to create characters, but you do get a few problems, like especially with animals. So like same face syndrome, not enough definition between them. So here I've been really lazy. I pretty much just snapped a line art off of a existing page just so I can show you the whole colouring process and everything because of the video. I don't want to be cut short like I was last time because this actually takes longer than I expected. So basically with Enoch, he is what is called a doll. So it's a small dog. So everything's quite small, chunky, small snouted, small legs, big paws, long tail. So what I think is important when drawing animals is you want every single one of them to be identifiable and unique in every stage of the drawing. So if I was to look at a line art of Enoch here, if I was just to whip out, ooh, don't want to be in this page, where is it? If I was to whip out one of these here, you can see this is the headshot page for Cage. So instantly, completely different structure. He has got long limbs, long ear, long snout. Okay, and I keep pages like this, like headshot pages, just for the consistency. So if I want, let's say I want like a body like that, or I want that headshot up there, I want that angle, I can just pull that out and stick it on the page. It's also got all the colours on it. So this one here is the Enoch one. And as you can see, this is a quarter view. So for this exact image, I would have whipped out, let's see if we can find them. Oof, it's one of these. This one here. So this here is the sketch for that. That one. So that one there is this head, basically. So if I use that in every single image, I make sure that everything has always got the exact proportions that I need. You can just change the expression and whatnot. So that makes things nice and simple. But I just thought I'd go through the basis of all characters being unique and all that. So you've got obviously basic sketch. I'd pull that head up, stick that on here, and then obviously line art. So he's got the lines which clearly define him as Enoch. And if I change the color background here, you can see the white lines, which he's also got unique whiskers. So he's got long whiskers. None of the others have whiskers like that. So I'm just gonna try and get onto the colouring here. So on this head page, I've also got colours. So these here are Enoch's colours. We've got eye, we've got paw pads. These are the fur colours in the middle, and then the two pink shades are the shade colours, which I'll show you in a second what those are all about. So I have not quite perfected, but I have like a style for the comic, which is pretty quick, pretty easy, and effective. Because obviously you don't want to spend forever on a comic page. So got the base color there, which is the mid-tone. So I'm now going to whip out the next color, which is the one next to it here, which is the slightly darker. Okay, I'm using a watercolor brush on this because I'm going to be shading later. I want it to be fairly opaque so it gets nice, like, it's a little bit too opaque actually. nice thick fur like this. I'm just gonna go over the whole thing. Now, if you've not really drawn animals for long or very much, this will probably take longer. Because I've been drawing these things for so long, I just kind of know how and where the fur moves. But I will say, whatever you do, don't do something like this, because that looks a little bit like scales. I mean, if that's a stylistic choice, go for it. But in reality, fur's more like this. It's a little bit everywhere. And for what I'm going to be doing with it, it's not going to be defined very much once I go for the actual blending. But we really want to get this down. I generally get this down quite quick because it doesn't, as I said, doesn't have to be perfect. It's just scribbly ass fur. Yeah, beautiful. Oof, I should have probably done a headshot instead of a full body, but then we'd be missing out on some bits. So with this, I can leave areas like this. So this will add adds a bit of a highlight there. You can see darker and lighter areas already starting to go in. Now, generally, I think I use this as the main fur. I blend it in, then I will be pulling out a dark shade, which will only be for these tiny little bits, just to make those really dark and defined. Then occasionally, this is if I remember to do it, I add a light highlight for some characters, not all. Enoch's one that I do add it on, although it's not always visible, so sometimes I don't really bother. It's only if it's a particularly dark image, it looks really effective just to get that little bounce of light on the top. But one of the most important parts of my style, I think, would probably be the multiply layer, which is probably one of the final touches on this. So I'm just gonna leave this area here blank. So we've got that there, just some nice basic fur. So we want to then go in and select the first color, the base color, and move this down because we don't want to have big harsh lines. We want to do a bit of blending, but we don't want to blend like crazy. We just want to blend a little bit. So generally when I'm blending, I like going at the base of the fur and then leaving the very tips of the triangle. So you can see there, that area is now blended, but it's not, you've still got these defined sections. And I've just realized I've not turned my cursor on the recording app, I don't think. I will have to remember to do that for next time because I'm pointing and you're probably not seeing it. Also, sorry if any of this weird recording sound is going through. I somehow I've lost my good mic and my voice is awful anyway. So I will apologise for that. It is been told it doesn't record well. Let's see how fast we can do this. I'm watching the clock ticking. Oh dear, this is going to be a long video. It's not what I'd wanted. There's one problem I'm having is trying to keep track of the time. That's why I decided to do single characters instead, and it looks like I've waffled anyway. Oh well, could be worse, I guess. Okay, our tail doesn't look great, but for educational purposes, I think it's okay. So there's that. So now we've got a pretty blended fur. Looks pretty good. But obviously, this is the first layer of this. We're going to go in for this darkest shade that we've got here. Now that there is the main shade, so we want to get this a bit darker there. So we want to make sure it's a higher opacity so it really gets in there. Now, we don't want to use this too much because this is the dark areas. So this will make some areas pop, so like this leg behind here. Okay, the chin anywhere on the bottom. But I do like being quite sparse with this. because obviously you don't want an overly dark image unless it's an overly dark area. But this is just a run-of-the-mill area of the comic. Let's see. There we go. And that has already added considerable bit of depth in there. Now some characters, you get these, I don't know what to call them, where the fur goes a little like this. Now, when it goes like that, I do like to just add a bit of depth like that, just to really highlight it. This is not a good place to be trying to describe that. I'll probably try and do a different character with fur that goes like that so I can show it. Because it would be on the neck here, but you can't see it. So I'm gonna actually go for a highlight on this guy, seeing as he has come out quite dark. So the highlight is pretty much just that little tiny bit on the top here and there. Now you want to aim, where's a good one? That one on the tail. So you want to aim for the highlight in the triangles, because of obviously that is a defined section of fur. You want that little highlight bit, and also on the top like that. Okay, so there's that. Now we want to make a new layer set to multiply. So this is going to be the big shade section. And for that, I'm going to pick one of these light colors in the top. Let's see how dark. Okay, so that's a good one for this. Can be high opacity, and with my style, it's quite sharp. So we just go for these nice angles, because I think a lot of it's very organic shading, and I just like the contrast of having these big sharp shadows. Because when you look at light in reality, there are these big sharp shadows, and I'm trying to replicate those. So then I keep no layers. I don't like having loads of layers, so merge that down. That's all on one. New layer there. So Enoch's got white inner ears. So start with the dark, go up a little, and then just ease, and then just keep getting lighter. So this is how I like doing this. I wouldn't color a whole character like this, but as he's got these tiny little white bits, this is a really fast and easy way to do. And because this is a new layer, I can now be really messy and just go in there. Oh, that's not an eraser. Go in there and just rub this out. It doesn't have to be perfect, because when you're reading a comic, you don't zoom right in. You go, oh yes, look, little gaps. Like, it doesn't matter too much. If it was a full final piece, I would care a little bit more, depending on the scale of the image. So a lot of the time, you see people going right up in there, zooming in, faffing. No need, no point, waste of time, honestly. Just go in there and do that. And if you zoom out and you're like, oh yes, this is the size you see it, you don't really see anything. So if I was reading this comic, I'd be like, oh yes, there it is. You're not seeing this, so it's all good. Okay, so we should have, I think this eye color is actually wrong. So I'm just going to lighten that up. Add that bad boy in there, get these eye colors in. Now some colors I don't have on the chart, like this and the pink, so it's ever so slightly different, varying between pages probably. But for base colors, especially if it's a character or a comic, you want to make sure you have the base colors at least. Because obviously as you're flicking through the comic, you don't want your character changing color constantly, unless that's a thing you're doing. You want things to be nice, consistent, and clean. I'm realizing that this is taking way too long, so I might not show the... Oh, actually, no, I'll probably have time. Nah, should be fine. Okay, so got the paw pads in there. So this is all still on this layer, so I'll call this, I don't know, the detail layer, I guess. So do tiny bit shading on the paw pads, because very minimalist, my style. It was just in there for the effect. Because obviously flicking, as I said, flicking through these pages, we're not really paying attention, we're reading the text, we're looking at movement, we're getting an idea of the story. Obviously images are important, but being perfect generally isn't. Like, even when you look at DC or Marvel or published comics and books, people don't put too much detail in unless it's obviously necessary. So we've got that now, and we can flatten that Bam. Look at that. Now we have one fully shaded character, but obviously he is an absolute mess around the edges. So this is a particular style that I've always done for digital. This is just easier. So we have this one character. So every character while I'm drawing will be on one layer. So I will draw Enoch. Then let's say Hochstatari is behind him. I'll just draw her in blue here quick. So she's behind Enoch here. So they're on two separate layers while I color them. And then I will erase Enoch where he overlaps. And then once I've erased everywhere they overlap, I push them together and then we have a single layer. This is something I will probably demonstrate later if I do a picture with multiple characters. Obviously this is just a single one, so I can't really show it. But I hate having multiple layers. If you look at my comic files, I generally will have less than 10 layers. And those layers pretty much consist of background is usually 3-4 layers because of their different what they even call different settings. So you've got like a multiply layer, you've got overlay layers. Characters are all on one unless there's something special. Text layers are on one layer. And it's just really compressed and simple. For the sake of time, I found that this is probably the fastest way to actually produce these comics. I've got them down to 5 hours a piece. And that's like a standard. Obviously different pages, different times, but that's average. And pretty much this just works well for me. It's probably something that I've been doing for the past 10 years style-wise. But of course, if you've got your own method, if you like your layers, you like having 20 million layers, that's up to you. I'm just trying to demonstrate a fast and easy way you can create a comic. Oof. Okay, so normally I would be doing this a little tiny bit better. Because that you can see there are some little bits missing, little bits that are being over the lines, under the lines. But I'm not gonna lie when I say it doesn't really matter. Nobody's out there looking, ooh, you've gone out the line a speck. Like, I don't want to read your comic anymore. It's awful. It's got a tiny line out. People don't care, as far as I've seen. I've seen some people read comics and like lots of attention for comics where it's pretty much just a circle shape drawn on MS Paint. Take Homestuck, for example. I mean, that wasn't the greatest drawn comic, but it had a massive following. Although I say that, but my comic is very art-based more than it is story-based because of its. I'm trying to use it as like a portfolio project, also as a massive learning project, as it has been massively crucial in my illustration understanding and qualifications that I have now got. So that's another reason why I haven't been posting when I said I would. I finally got my degree with honours, got top level, and that was a massive thing. Lots of hassle, lots of running around screaming, trying to illustrate, all while trying to do my comic, which, although it is on hold, still trying to do the redraws, hundreds of pages left. It's awful, so much work. But it is what it is. Oh, I feel like we're going over the 30-minute mark. Oh no. Almost done there. Could have just skipped this, I guess. For the next one, I think I'll probably just skip or pause. Because you'll have seen me do it once. And honestly, this is so tedious. The once is enough for any man. Or woman. Or they. Them. Oh, I think we get to the end of it now. so close. And that, ooh, okay. So I was saying you can leave some areas, but that obviously, if you're reading the comic, that's a massive. Oof, I'm doing it again. These are massive gaps, so you can leave gaps out of the lines. You can leave random little squiggly bits. People don't mind too much, but if I was to do something like this, that's obvious, that's horrendous, everyone's going to be looking at it, and that isn't within my tolerance for mistakes and messes. So let's have a look. So areas. So that there is one fully shaded little Enoch. I'll probably keep this guy. I'll probably do maybe a background on him. Show you how to do a background. But there it is, I guess. That's how I draw Enoch from my comic. You could apply that obviously to different characters. This is just specifically me using my character as a demonstration object. You can create comics, artwork, create your own style and characters using this technique and strategy if you like. It's just a nice, quick and simple one, which I'm just trying to get out there, just for a bit of fun, and just so when I'm trying to explain myself to people, I can just go, I have a video of me drawing, here, take a peek. If you like it, you can like and subscribe if you want to. I can't guarantee I'll be posting much, but if you want to see a couple more of these, feel free to subscribe, or you can just shoot me a message, and I can probably help you out if you would like maybe a one-on-one, or if you have a question. I am happy to help in any way I can with that. That's what I'm trying to do with these. And stay safe, have fun, and keep drawing.